We know that we need feedback to grow, but knowing that doesn't make it any easier in order for us to receive and hear the feedback that we're given. So if you've ever received feedback that was hard to hear, or maybe weren't sure what the fuck to do with it, then this video is for you. My name is Petra, and I mentor Black, Indigenous people of color, LGBTQ plus folks in the nonprofit sector who want to speak up during crucial moments in meetings without self-doubt, sabotaging their efforts or their expertise. If you want leadership development from an anti-oppressive, healing-centered, and playful lens, then you're in the right place. All right, in this video, I'm sharing the do's and don'ts of how you can receive feedback better as a queer or Black or brown leader. I go into way more detail in my free feel-good feedback guide, so if you want to get that, it'll be in the description box below, but let's get started in this video. Let's start out with the do's. Understand what feedback is and what feedback is not. For example, when I teach my feel-good feedback approach, I define feedback as a reaction or response to a particular action, event, or response. I want you to use that feedback, that definition of feedback, to filter out whether the feedback that you're being given is actually feedback, or if it's something, or if it's rooted into something else, like criticism, which is rooted in perceived faults, or control, which is rooted in fear or scarcity. Here's an example of what the difference between all three of those things might sound like. Criticism might sound like you're always late. Control might sound like you're not allowed to be late or you're going to be fired. Feedback sounds like, I noticed you were running a bit behind yesterday. Is there anything I can do to help you arrive on time? Feedback implies that you care about this person's growth and their goals, and you really want to help them meet those kinds of things and not beat them down. The second piece of our do is know how you like to receive feedback so that you can communicate that style to the person giving you feedback. Sometimes we can't even hear or process the feedback that we're given because it's framed in a way that works for the feedback giver and not you as the receiver. If you're not sure how to frame or phrase the feedback, I really want you to go get my Feel Good Feedback Guide that's in the description box. In it, I share sentence examples, timing considerations, I share what's the best and worst case scenarios for the feedback to feel good for you, again, in the description box. But to get you started with this, I want you to tune into when you actually have the capacity and energy to fully hear and receive this feedback. So I want to stop here and acknowledge that for those of us that have been masking, those of us that have been code-switching, those of us who maybe are people pleasers, it may take us a little bit longer to be able to really assess when we have the capacity or something for when we don't. At this time, I really want you to give yourself some compassion here. If you find that you really aren't in the head or heart space to hear and process the feedback that's been given to you, then I want you to ask to revisit it at a later time. Here's how you might be able to say that. You might want to say, hey, I really want to be in a good headspace so I can engage with this conversation without being defensive or reactive. Would it be okay for us to discuss this at a later date? Put the ball in their court. The next thing that we do want to do is ask for examples so you can better understand the context for that feedback. I don't want you to just go, thank you for this feedback, I'll work on it. But actually spend some time understanding where this feedback is coming from and exactly how it's going to help you grow and meet your goals. That person should really have that understanding. All right, I want to pause here and ask, is it easy for you to receive feedback, or is it something that you're really working on? Let me know in the comments. All right, those were all the things that I do want you to do. Here's the things that I don't want you to do as a Black or brown LGBT plus nonprofit leader, okay? Do not indiscriminately take feedback from everybody and their mama. Don't do that, okay? As multiple marginalized people, we can be seen as a punching bag for other people's shit that ain't got nothing to do with us, and it's important for us to build our discernment between what feedback actually is, which was my first recommendation, and what is really meant to diminish our potential, right? Feedback is meant to be water, right? I think about feedback as a plant. We want it to grow inside us, and we need to be careful who we're allowing to plant stuff inside us. The second thing I don't want you to do is please don't fall into the fawn or the fight with the feedback that you're given, okay? Fawn in this situation might look like immediately collapsing, right? Maybe you just get like, oh, gut punch. You're giving into the feedback receiver without getting any examples. We're not getting clarity on why the feedback was given or how it's going to be supportive for your goals and your growth. I want you to really stand your ground here, right? Ask questions. And then fighting in this scenario might look like getting really defensive and really active in that moment. I'm not saying that the feedback receiver gets to talk to you any kind of way, right? No. But at the same time, I'm really a proponent of speaking from a place that is balanced and grounded, and I know that's the kind of leader you want to be. And so sometimes that means that we just can't have our conversations when our little amygdala is all hot and bothered, okay? I'm going to give you the same sentence I gave in the earlier section around the do's around this. I'm going to give it to you back again, right? So the thing that you want to say here, right, when you see yourself getting either defensive or maybe you're starting to see yourself collapse and fawn, tell this person, hey, I really want to be in a good headspace so I can engage with this conversation without being defensive or reactive. Would it be okay for us to discuss this at a later date? Okay? The next thing I want you to do, or rather the next thing I want you not to do, is really don't take whatever the feedback receiver, the truth with a capital T, right? I don't care if this person is a supervisor, the CEO, your mama. Sorry. I really want you to take this feedback and shop it around to other people, right? I really want you to ask things like, hey, I just got XYZ feedback, and I'm wondering if that's something you've noticed too, right? Maybe share it with your friends, share it with your other coworkers who you trust. Share it with me in the comments. And I'll let you know where I think that whether or not that was feedback or not. But I really think you should get a different perspective just so you're not putting all of your onus and belief into this one piece of feedback. Why do I want you to do this? Because I really don't believe that leaders should be expected to navigate things like they are off on an island on their own. And so I really want to encourage you to use your networks, use your peers, use the people that are in your circles to help you discern and make sense of this feedback that you've been given. All right, I could talk about this all day, but I'm going to stop right here. And then again, I'm going to invite you to download my Feel Good Feedback Guide. I share sentence stems examples, kind of like the ones that I shared in this video. I share timing considerations, again, so you're not operating from that really activated headspace where you might say something you don't mean. And I share best and worst case scenarios for how you can give feedback and receive feedback in ways that feel good for you. All of that is going to be in the link to the description box. All right. Don't forget to let me know which one of these tips you're going to use next time. And that's it for me.